Well, my name is Wilderness Sarchild, and my last name, Sarchild, comes from my mother. My mother's name was Sarah, so Sarchild is short for Sarah's child. And I did that very purposely when I first became a feminist in the 1960s and 70s, and I thought that I really would like to honor my mother, since most people had their father's names. And so there came Sarchild. I never really had an intention to change my first name, but I was working with my first spiritual teacher, and I had a profound experience that involved the name Wilderness. And when that experience was complete, I couldn't go back to being Peggy. I felt like if I did, I would be shutting the door on a gift that was given to me. And I've been Wilderness for about 40 years now, and it's my legal name. Mm-hmm. I've been a social justice activist most of my adult life, and when I'm creating, that social justice activist does not leave me. It's very much a part of me. I want to speak for voices that don't get heard, or for people or things who have been treated badly. Well, 2 months before I turned 60, I went on a 3-week silent retreat and wrote poetry. And I was freaking out about turning 60, and I didn't want to be old. And so that whole idea of the retreat was to come into grace around my aging. And I did. By the time the 3 weeks was up, I felt fine about turning 60. I wrote the poem Hags and Crones that weaves through the book that you're publishing, and just never looked back. Because hags and crones are words that this culture uses as a way of putting down old age, and so I am reclaiming those words. Yes, I'm a hag. Yes, I'm a crone. Hooray. I won't let you get in my way with words that tend to show ageism and put down people of a certain age. When I wrote the poem Hags and Crones and gave it to my friend, who ended up being my co-writer of Wrinkles the Musical, we decided to take that poem and have it be the spine of a play that we wanted to write about women and aging. And we wanted to bring in other women, and over 9 years we interviewed and workshopped with over 100 women from 60 to 95.
And then go from there.
My mother got dementia when she was in her 70s, and I'm afraid of getting dementia also. And the reason I was so afraid of aging, I think the biggest reason, was because of my fear of dementia. And then I wrote a poem that's in the book called, I can't even remember the name of it, but in the poem, I basically come to the conclusion that while I still can, I would take my own life. And I still believe that. And that freed me to know that I could have that choice. Poetry, I've written poetry most of my adult life and not taken it seriously. And about 15 years ago, I started to study the craft of poetry and study with teachers and begin to revise. I don't think I ever revised a poem until 15 years ago. And yeah, so it's like a new career, and I think all my creative expressions are that new. Before 15 years ago, my creativity came through as a psychotherapist, and I was an expressive arts psychotherapist, and so I had my clients doing movement and singing and writing poetry and painting, and I really wasn't doing it so much myself, but I realized I needed to learn what I was teaching. And so then I started my own creative endeavors. And plus, living on Cape Cod, I'm surrounded by artists, I'm surrounded by amazing light, and it's hard not to be an artist and live here.
I think that being...
But poetry is also for my healing, and it's also for my social justice work. As I've already said, the healing I got from writing Hags and Crones on my retreat that allowed me to come into aging, and the healing I got from writing about my mother's Alzheimer's allowed me to come through the fear of that. And when things happen in the world, when police are killing black children or adults, I write about that, and it somehow helps me to hold it. And if it speaks to other people, all the better.